These ladies, and I'm a WNBA fan.
It's been a good season.
They cannot have this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse if they tried.
Charles Barkley has had enough. In a jaw-dropping rant on national television, he just exposed what he calls the jealousy circus hijacking the WNBA spotlight. And at the center of his fury, Angel Reese. The investigation into racist fan behavior was just declared bogus, and now, Barkley's blowing the lid off the entire scandal. Was this a smear campaign against Caitlin Clark? And why is Angel Reese being called out? Let's uncover the truth.
If you got people in a room, if you got a bunch of dudes in a room and says, let's fuck up the WNBA, we couldn't have came up a master plan what these women have done.
It all began during the Indiana Fever season opener, when rising superstar Caitlin Clark dropped a dazzling triple-double and helped her team blow out the Chicago sky. But headlines the next day weren't about her historic performance. Instead, they focused on explosive allegations, claims that Fever fans hurled racist and misogynistic remarks at Angel Reese. Within hours, the WNBA launched a formal investigation.
So it's just petty jealousy, and it's really unfortunate because, and the thing that's really bad right now, we're not even talking about basketball. That's the problem that I have with the whole thing.
And then Barkley went off. Some of these players need to stop being jealous and start being grateful for what Caitlin Clark is doing for this league. His tone? Blunt. His message? Unfiltered. He slammed the accusations as a distraction from what should have been a historic moment for women's basketball.
But we're not. What's bad, instead of talking about all the good things happening for the WNBA, we're talking about negativity. And all publicity, there used to be that old saying, all publicity is good publicity. No, it's not. Not when you're a niche sport trying to get the consumers to buy into your product.
Barkley wasn't done. He compared Caitlin Clark to Steph Curry, saying her rise should be celebrated, not sabotaged. Steph didn't make people jealous. He made them money, Barkley said. And he's not wrong. Clark helped spike ticket sales by over 90% and TV viewership by 400%. But instead of unity, jealousy seems to be the loudest voice in the room.
Petty jealousy, and it's really unfortunate because what she's done for the game. Yeah, listen, I believe in Ricky Hazen, but some of the criticism has gotten overboard.
Angel Reese is no stranger to the spotlight or controversy. Known for her swagger, her "you can't see me" gesture to Clark last year made headlines. But this time, she's facing a different kind of scrutiny. Was Reese genuinely targeted by fans, or was this a deflection, an attempt to shift the narrative after a brutal loss?
The girls got to grow up and you know what? I can go at her hard on the basketball court, but the visibility and stuff she's bringing to the league is it's going to fill all our wallets up in the long run.
After a week-long probe, the WNBA released its findings. And just like Barkley predicted, there was no misconduct, no racial slurs, no evidence of wrongdoing. The scandal? Built on speculation. But the damage? Already done.
The stuff toward her is petty and jealous. And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. But there's been so much negativity, and a lot of it is just petty jealousness.
Barkley's final message was clear. This league has enough problems without players turning on each other. Be grateful. It was a rallying cry for unity, for vision, and for maturity. Because if jealousy wins, the WNBA loses.
Like I say, it's just a lot of petty jealousy out there, and it's really unfortunate. Taken away from the women's game. Because no matter what sport, if you're talking more about something other than the sport, so anything, this is just taken away from the game, in my opinion.
What do you think? Was Angel Reese out of line? Or is Charles Barkley the one fanning the flames? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more no-fluff sports investigations right here. This was Channel Name, and we'll see you next time.
Just as suspected. Nothing. And that other fan base, the old fan base, came after the Fever players, Fever fans.
Just when the WNBA thought it could ride the wave of Caitlin Clark's historic rise, it got hit with something no one saw coming. A firestorm of jealousy. Accusations. And now, Charles Barkley, yes, Sir Charles himself, is calling out Angel Reese by name. And what he said, it's shaking the entire league to its core.
So it's really unfortunate, and I like the way she's handling. She hasn't said anything because you got so many fools out here who got opinions, unfortunately, negative opinions on television, on radio, and things like that. So I'm glad she's staying above the fray.
It all started after yet another dominating performance by Caitlin Clark, a 93-58 Indiana Fever victory. But instead of celebrating that blowout win, social media turned ugly. Accusations flew. A hostile fan environment. A league investigation into Clark's supporters. And behind the chaos, one name kept surfacing. Angel Reese.
And you old fans, you ones accusing us of racism and all that, y'all just took an L, and a big one. However, the league is also taking a big L because there's no apologies to any fan whatsoever on this totally BS statement released by the WNBA.
The investigation concluded there was no evidence of wrongdoing by Indiana fans. But it had already done the damage. It ignited thousands of hate comments online, and Charles Barkley had had enough.
Yeah, you found nothing. That's great. That's accurate. Guess who told you you would find nothing? The entire Indiana Fever fan base said you weren't going to find anything.
Barkley didn't just rant, he brought receipts. 400% spike in draft ratings. 180% increase in regular season viewership. 93% ticket sales surge. And one name behind it all, Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA is committed to fostering a safe and inclusive environment for everyone and will continue to be vigilant in enforcing our fan code of conduct. Where is the apology to your fans?
But Angel Reese wasn't backing down. While she never directly attacked Clark, her cryptic social media posts stoked the fire. One tweet read, "They hate the loud black girls until they need our culture." Fans instantly assumed it was about Caitlin.
But this league that has never turned a profit decided to accuse their own fans of racism. Indiana Fever, as an organization, you're culpable here too. I mean, you are.
And then, Barkley unleashed. "You are sabotaging yourselves," he told the league. Steph Curry didn't get hate for changing the NBA. Why is Caitlin being targeted for changing the WNBA?
I have a suspicion that outside of Indiana Fever game, there may be a boycott of every other game in your league. And of course, judging by the ratings, sometimes it looks like there already is a natural one.
Barkley made it clear he respects Angel Reese, but he's calling out what he sees as pettiness and jealousy. And according to him, it's hurting every woman in that locker room.
I don't know what it is with the old fandom. I don't know what it is about fans of other teams. But man, they didn't want regular sports fans to enter their arena. We're here. We're here. And we don't take things like this lying down. We don't stay quiet.
Behind Barkley's rant is a harsh truth. Most WNBA players are still underpaid, underseen, and underfunded. But now, with Caitlin Clark pulling sponsors, networks, and fans, everyone stands to win. So why is the league tearing itself apart?
I mean, they can't handle criticism. Again, a statement was made about hostile environment. Visiting arenas are hostile environments, and they have always known to be so.
Online, fans are split. Is this about race? Is it jealousy? Or just growing pains of a league finally hitting the mainstream? The WNBA is suddenly at the center of America's cultural debate.
Never forget, this BS investigation led to thousands of people spewing hate speech towards Indiana Fever players.
In the end, Barkley's message is painfully simple. Stop fighting each other. Caitlin Clark isn't your enemy. Irrelevance is. And if the WNBA doesn't come together fast, it could lose this golden moment forever.
I mean, let's keep it real. As my shirts all came in and my cap and all that, me bought a league pass. We're funding this whole thing now. We're funding it.
The WNBA is finally at the doorstep of greatness. But the question remains, will they walk through it united, or watch the opportunity slip away in silence. Charles Barkley made his choice. What's yours?
You know, a lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness.
Charles Barkley just exploded on national TV, and this time it was personal. After weeks of brewing tension and a league investigation some are calling bogus, Barkley is calling out Angel Reese and WNBA players for what he says is jealousy, division, and self-sabotage. But what really pushed him over the edge? And why did the league try to shift the narrative away from Caitlin Clark's record-breaking rise? This gets messy.
She and the Indiana Fever accounted for 45% of all the broadcast value of the WNBA last season. She accounted also for helping drive the numbers of merchandising up 500%. Of course, her jersey was #1.
It all started after Caitlin Clark led the Indiana Fever to a crushing 93-58 win. Instead of praising her performance, headlines focused on a so-called hostile environment. WNBA officials launched an investigation into fan behavior, but the results completely cleared Indiana fans.
This girl is incredible. What she did in college for women's basketball, what she's doing in the WNBA.
She turned the Fever. We're 1-8. They have a winning record now.
But the number of attention, eyeballs she's brought to college and the pros, and for these women to have this petty jealousness, you say to yourself, damn, what is going on here?
We're funding this whole thing now. Why is Caitlin Clark being attacked when she's done more for the WNBA than anyone in years?
Before the 2023 season, the WNBA had grown by 40% viewership from 2022 to 2023. But with Caitlin Clark's arrival, it's grown by 400% viewership. What that means is if the WNBA were to continue to grow at the rate it grew from 22 to 23, it would take until 2028 to do what Caitlin Clark did this year.
Many veterans, including Angel Reese, have worked their entire careers to lift the WNBA. But suddenly, all the headlines are about Caitlin Clark. That sting? It's real. But Barkley says their bitterness is costing them all.
This is going to be history. It's like what I told her, that's pretty epic that we get to watch her, you know, because not a lot of games here in Dallas with somebody that big of a star.
Reese didn't name Barkley, but her message was loud. She knows the attention's on Clark, and she knows how the media is painting her. But Barkley says, that villain role? It's a distraction from the opportunity in front of them.
Ticket sales grew in 2023 by 16% from 2022. Ticket sales have grown by 93% in 2024. What that means is without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA would have taken till 2029 or 2030 to get to where Caitlin Clark has gotten them today.
Charles Barkley has been around long enough to know when a league is blowing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He warned, this momentum isn't guaranteed. If the players stay divided, they'll lose everything.
Viewership. Regular season viewership, it grew by 20% in 2023. It's grown by 180% now, which means it would take another 5 or 6 years to do what Caitlin Clark has done. So between draft day viewership, which is up 400% to 40%, between ticket sales, which is up 93% to 16%, between regular game viewership, which is up 180% to 20%, what Caitlin Clark has done is grown the WNBA exponentially. She did in 5 weeks what would have taken 5 years.
This isn't about Reese versus Clark. It's about whether the WNBA can finally become what it was always meant to be, a powerhouse. Charles Barkley is sounding the alarm. Will anyone listen?